crucial point, Henry Steele Olcott and others established media, papers, and public talks and public schools. And they are Ananda-Nalanda, Dhammaraja, and uh, Gaul, Mahinda College. Is very important. And others established media. So whenever you are giving attention to this revival from an outsider's point of view, it's a media war. And the end result was the Ananda College and the Sinhala Bauddha newspapers and starting a press and kind of thing going to give a separate kind of publications. And then slowly, we were armed, we were with ammunition to have a counter campaign, and therefore it is literature wise very important crucial age. And during that time only, 2500 years Buddha Jayanti for the Buddha came in 1956, and the Sri Lankan revival by these Western people came heightened, come into the peak, and Indian revolution, and then the Sri Lankan one. Ultimately, we won the independence, and that is because of this kind of a trend. And when it is happening, my teacher and the other renowned meditation masters were waiting. They were marking time once this social level of establishment of the Tipitaka and the monks and the temples and the Buddhist colleges and the papers, to how to take that better opportunity to take it to the purification of individuals. Because when there is no pariyatti sasana or literature-wise Buddhism, very difficult to give nourishment for the patipatti sasana, whereby you can use it and practice, and then pativeda, the realization was beyond our capacity. But lucky enough, with this establishment of the colleges and kind of thing, the Tipitaka also, that means 3 baskets, came into published, and people start to read it, and then Pali Text Society came, and the West also tried to understand the great value of the teaching of the Buddha. It is a kind of a revolution and evolution happened, and that leads specifically from 1956 onward to purification of the being, where the Satipatthana, the 4 foundation of mindfulness, came at the crux of the issue. That is how the Kanduboda, Mahasi system, and Nisarnavana, all the thing came up. It happened in a very, very tiny way. And we have now about 40, 50 to 60 years of history about not only the theoretical part of the Buddhism and the social religious part, but also about the personal experience and the lineage from the teacher to students, and likewise the mindfulness also catching. And while it is happening, of course, in a very, very painfully slow way, the Western people, I would like to mention the names, I would like to mention namely the America, Germany, Australia, sometimes Malaysia. They started to analyze mindfulness for the last 30, 40 years, and they started writing and giving lectures the therapeutic value of the mindfulness, because the world was really, really developing towards frustration and tension. There were no answer as the technology and the other things are going, even the economic level, per capita economic level increasing, invariably, so-called the first world countries, their rate of tension and the frustration, generally more than 25%, and sometimes they are treatable because so much of problems. So ultimately, with the revival of Buddhism, that was the world Buddhism, and they reduce it to mindfulness. That was not well accepted by the society at large, but the approach of the Western countries were uh, basically problem oriented, basically therapeutic, basically healing type, and it was catching like anything. So this is called business Buddhism. They start uh, meditation, or rather mindfulness, as a medication specifically for the mentally ill people and the tension and the frustration, but it was catching the momentum. I was born in 1952, and when I was in 26, 27 year of age, the mindfulness momentum, specifically in the world literature, was one of the things gave me a kind of a cyclone to my thinking, specifically from one of the Australian monks, namely Venerable Damiga. And I found the universality of this mindfulness, even though I am not an ardent Buddhist practitioner at that time. I was born to a Buddhist family, but I see the utility value, I see the pragmatic value, I see the applicability of the mindfulness with my scientific education, and I kept it as my personal secret. I practice about 7 to 8 years without declaring, without showing others how to be mindful, how to be here and now, how to be in the present moment. So at that time, there were not a single book in Sri Lanka written in Sinhala about this mindfulness, except the traditional translation of uh, Satipatthana Sutta. But due to the world literature, some books published in English, and they were talking and they were highlighting the genius contribution of the Buddha to the humankind, and not only limited to the Buddhist, humankind, and how mindfulness can be applied. I would say one sentence, it was unluckily enough the Western people and foreign people started this as a therapeutic and healing, and it was business. But when you go back to the original source of the Pali, it is never limited to therapy, but it is rather addressing to prevention. Prevention is better than cure. So when you go to the preventive part of the mindfulness and then the appamada, the diligence, there's a huge relationship, as if appamada and diligence, I'm sorry, mindfulness and the diligence is like twin brothers. They were treated in our literature equal way, sometimes the synonyms. So whenever you are applying mindfulness into your own life, to the present moment, to be here and now, slowly you will meet up with, we stumble upon the term appamada, the diligence. And so you have to inquire about what is the relationship between the mindfulness and the diligence, or sati and appamada, and you can see there's a hidden relationship between the sati and appamada, mindfulness and the diligence. And when I was in Burma, under the direct disciple of Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw, my teacher was Pandita Abhivansa, and he was very analytically, very the in a very scientific way, analyze and see relationship between the mindfulness and the diligence. Diligence means appamada. So whenever I, Dhammajiva as a person to share with others, I found it is very, very difficult to communicate and give a talk on mindfulness or sati, and equally, of course, difficult with the apamada, but very easy to give a talk on pamada, the opposite of diligence. Pamada is a characteristic feature in Sri Lanka. Whatever we are going to do, we are delayed. So it's a national character. So we have to we have to share ourselves the punctuality. Do it in the proper time. It's a respect to the society. It is respect to the time. It is respect to the our diligence. But you see, unforeseen things are happening. Ultimately, negligence happens. So if you understand pamada, negligence equal, the opposite of pamada, opposite of negligence is the diligence. So that diligence, according to the literature, we can say diligence towards the moral restraint, diligence towards concentration restraint, and diligence toward the wisdom restraint. So now we are opening a chapter, opening a patipada, how to go into this diligence in our three restraint, sila, samadhi, panya, or morality, concentration, and the wisdom. Then we can understand where are we. Or rather, I would say in the singular term, where am I? Who am I? How much I am diligent towards the moral restraint. How much I am diligent, I am not negligent toward the concentration restraint. How much I am diligent or not negligent toward the wisdom restraint. I will take little time about the sila, about the morality. So we, being Buddhist, we know physical and verbal restraint, we call sila. We have uh, 7 precepts: not to kill, not to steal, not to have sexual misconduct, no lying, slandering, tale carrying, and the harsh words. So these 7 are the sign of negligence, are the sign of pamada. So whenever someone determine as much as possible not to conduct killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, or lying, harsh word, tale carrying, and uh, frivolous talks, to not to kill, there's nothing costly. Never, no any restriction. Anyone can start anytime. And how that is been twisted, how that is been distorted is, instead of not killing, Buddhism is teaching about doing pinkang, doing that puja and this puja. So whenever analyzing, you can see not doing bad thing is the most important than doing good things. So this is the religious twist. They preach so much of things for the people to do this and that. So they hide, they cut off not to do bad things. So therefore, Burmese monks, they analyze the term diligence is do things what you should do punctually. Do it in a proper time. And that is well taught in Sri Lanka. I have no any complaint. But the not to do what you should not do, never addressed, never talk, because that is belongs to moral restraint. For moral restraint, not to kill, not to steal, not to have sexual misconduct, and not to lie, slander, and frivolous talks, and tale carrying and harsh words, cost nothing. We never talk about. So leave it aside. Am I concerned? Am I diligent to take care not to kill, not to steal, not to have sexual misconduct, and not to have verbal misdeeds, and how much I am progressing towards that day by day, hour by hour, and then we can understand how is the progress along the Appamada. So Appamada, I think that is come into the Ananda College slogan also, and they are also highly talking, maybe I am not much studied on that, about to do good things. Of course, you must do good thing in proper time. But the secret is here to find a relationship with the mindfulness, not to do bad things. Sabba papasa akarana. That is not a word of a single Buddha. That's the words of all the Buddhas. So instead of Sabba papasa karanam, we started Kusala Supasampada. So whenever you put the horse before the cart, instead of the cart before the horse, you understand not to kill, not to steal, not to have sexual misconduct and wrong verbal misdeeds. Your diligence is prevented by nothing. Whether you are a male or a female, whether you are ordained or not, whether you are Buddhist or non-Buddhist, whether you are young, whether medium age or the old age, there is nothing restraining. But that diligence, we camouflage by doing good thing in proper time, but instead, whenever you come to the mindful meditation, you restrain yourself. Imagine you are sitting in a cross-legged and fix your body like a pyramid or a dagaba or an anthill and close your eyes, keep the palm upon the palm, and you try to keep the mind inside. See inside, and then you can understand how much the mind is jumping outside, and get busy. So mind will never come and rest. Here now I am, as far as you can't, as far as you cannot keep the body and the words outwardly and extrovert. So therefore, to have a kind of a restraint, your verbal and physical restraint must be somewhat mature, and then only you can come and sit, rest, and with the help of momentum, of moral restraint, you can see our monkey mind. You can see how it is jumping, even though your breath, even though your sitting posture, even though your touch is so innocent, so free of charge. Mind never happy to be here and now, to be with the breath, to be with the sitting posture, because it is been misled, it is been misguided, or extrovert. So whenever you try to keep the mind inside the breath, I would like to say, or the sitting posture, uh, you have to understand, you have to employ both mindfulness as well as the diligence, whereby imagine one split second consciously, I am sitting here. That is, I call purification of being. Your mind is not carried away, past, future, other people and other places. Instead, for one split second, you can be here and now. And understanding that I am here, I am sitting, that very understanding is going to give a completely datum line for your thinking. That is the starting point, no defilements. I have been with meditators for about 30, 40 years. I found no one hardly that they can't bring the mind to the present here and now. Of course, some terminal cancer patients and other people with the excruciating pain and mental distress, they may not, but majority can do. So therefore, we can introduce, this is the crux of the teaching of the Buddha, first try yourself. Whenever you have healthy mind, whenever you have the healthy body, try to keep the mind here and now. Then you can understand it is a human quality, not a single beast. Single animal can't try even. But we being human, we being Buddhist, we belong to the Ananda-Nalanda college. But if you have not tested even, just to keep the mind one split second here and now, and to understand that's the biggest meritorious deed we have done in our life, because you are doing no harm. You do no harm. So first do no harm. That is the doctor's first oath. The Buddha says, Sabba Papa Sakarna. So if you can clear out, if you can clean one split second, yes, I am here, I am now, I am sitting, I know I am sitting, and mind is with me. So in one end, it is a sign of mindfulness because of your diligence, and the other biggest loving kindness to yourself. You are living. Otherwise, you are dreaming. Otherwise, you are fantasizing. Otherwise, you are in bewildered mind. Otherwise, you are in eccentric mind. So now you prove you can do it, and very verification of the same thought moment is another task. That belongs to the communication. That belongs to the media. That belongs to the sharing with others. How can I prove to my teacher, my colleague, and other people that I am mindful? I know I am mindful. That is the most important aspect. This is what we call things as they are. You are not only mindful, you know you are mindful. And the way you explain it, we call verification, that is very, very scientific. Not a single scientist can fight it. They are fighting, the scientists are fighting external, extrovert. Same tool Buddha used 2600 years to introvert and insight, and that is the point where not to the mindfulness and the diligence go parallel. Is the Buddhism and the science also sometimes feel parallelism. So the moment you comes to know that I am mindful, not only that, I know I am mindful, that is the thing we are sharing with our spiritual friends, and they also explain us. But whenever you are sitting cross-legged and closed eyes, you find how difficult, just like a fish out of water, how it is jumping, how it is impatient. Instead, whenever we are sharing mindfulness with others, specifically with the young children, we have introduced the walking meditation, what we call, or sakmana, whereby you are doing a single action of walking, not to rush to a train, not to rush to a bus or nothing. You just walk up and down and see, not only you are sitting and closing your eyes and be mindful on the breath. Here, you try to be mindful. Now I am with the left leg and the right leg, left leg and the right leg. How many steps? How many steps you can continue with mindfulness? There you can see, you can be an Olympic runner. You can do a lot of tasks, multitasking, but simple walking, how many steps? So there we start to learn we are just newly born babies. Prince Siddhartha, soon after his birth, he had the 7 steps. But we are not even born yet, because we can't do even 7 steps. Before that, mind is wandering. Before that, so much of complaint can happen, no problem. To start, it is well enough. So the day you start 7 breaths, Day you start 7 steps consecutively, you see, you are qualifying, you are living, you are diligent, you are mindful, and that become your prime task in the next 1 hour of sitting or walking, or next one day, how many breaths I can take mindfully, how many steps, even though it is not a traditional walking path, you can take steps. And many make complaints telling, I can't allocate time to see the breath because I have so much of responsibilities. I have so much of multitasking. So they are killing themselves. They are robbing themselves. They are dreaming themselves. They are alcoholic like. So instead, what you have to say, yes, yes, we are some normal families. We are not from the princely family or kingly families. So therefore, we have to earn something within the day. While doing, even if you can allocate 5-10 minutes even for just to see, just to balance your sitting, just be aware that I am sitting, just be aware I'm breathing. It appear like selfish. When I started, of course it is my mistake, some people came to know that I am doing little bit of mindful meditation. They say, you are very selfish, you are being taught by Sri Lankan government, free education, and after learning everything, now you are only concerned your own mindfulness, your own liberation, your own nibbana, and it is unfair. Specifically when I am trying to be a monk, my dynamic, pragmatic, friendly uh, friends, they all rejected me. All complained me, telling that I am going to go to the forest because in search of my own liberation. So Pandita Sayadaw says in Burma, whenever you are not killing, it is not selfish. When you are not stealing something, it is not selfish. When you are not doing sexual misconduct, it is not selfish. When you are not lying, slandering, tail carrying, and harsh, it is not selfish. It is ethics. You are dealing with another human being. How can you say it is selfish? So your internal argumenting, leave aside the social argumenting, internal argumenting needs complete reshaping of values, personality. So therefore, while you are doing little bit of walking meditation and sitting, you must have discussions, you must have discourses, you have the acquaintance and a relationship with other practicing people. Each and everyone has to go against the grain. Everyone has to go against the grain because society and the Buddhism is teaching us to be active and do this and do that. Now younger generation, I am of course now too old. When I was young, if someone came to know that I am practicing, no one is happy. They say, no, you must marry, you must have a good job and education and all the kind of thing. After 60, 70 years, you can go to the forest and meditate, but don't do it now. But that is completely outdated. The Buddha says, in your prime time, early one third of your life, you must allocate time for understanding mindfulness, practicing mindfulness, understanding diligence, try to be diligent, and then slowly it become a second nature, your part and parcel of your life. And when it is continuing, only then you can understand in this busy society, there are more than what you expect. Spiritual friends are there. Noble friends are there. They are very simple living, high thinking people. They may not appear religious, but they never disturb society. They are not doing bad things and they are not campaigning for Sinhalese Buddhism or something like that. But if someone approaching, they are very happy to share one-to-one relationship and share their experience because they have some sort of personal experience. I come and go to a corner and sit. What happens? When I walk 30, 40 minutes, what happens? When I brush my teeth, mindfully. When I'm eating my meal, mindfully. What happens? There's no male and female difference. There is no learned and unlearned difference. There is no rich and poor difference. There is no young and old difference. Exactly the same. So therefore, I used to call it as humanity. Whenever you become mindful, you become human. Otherwise, you have one-upmanship to run before the other person, and tension and frustration and of failures and success. Ultimately, you are burning the candle from the both the ends and get exhausted and ultimately end up with the disorganized life. Instead, they will complain just sitting and watching as nihilistic, negative, not productive, not creative. But I have my personal experience. Whenever you try to be mindful, the diligence is endowment. Diligence is a gift. You are utterly dynamic. That dynamism is internal, not finding fault with others, not to give a fight with the opposition, just to see internal, and there you find it is a everlasting machine. The diligent become your part and partial. You are very diligent, never negligent. If you are negligent, you are trying your best mindfully to recover it, and then only you can see like-minded people in the society, not only in Sri Lanka, not only among the Buddhists, but lot of other people in the other societies. So with this corona world, with this exploiting world, with this kind of a capitalistic world, there's a concept called conscious army. They never fight with the society. Whenever they have time, they mind their own business. Try to be mindful and understand, and they are emitting good vibrations, not with competitive one, not with judgmental one. And these vibrations are called good vibes. These good vibes are working the exactly the same frequency. Whether you're in 1,000 miles away, no problem. So these conscious mind, conscious army people behave like family members. Wherever you go outside, you can notice the other person who is conscious about, who is mindful about, who is diligent about the present moment. But the whole society is pulling you out of the present moment, make you eccentric, whole technology. So, but even technology is so powerful, whenever you try to be mindful, no one can stop you. Mindfulness is your birthright. But you must have a beginning. You must have a beginner's mind and learn mindfulness a little bit in a idealistic situation, no sounds, no distraction, no mosquitoes, no problems. And then once little by you develop, then you can slowly put into the little by little action like walking, and then maybe brushing your teeth and eating and bathing and traveling. There you can be little by little mindful, and there you can understand the multitasking or diversified way of mindfulness, and there you find mindfulness is growing. It is self-sustaining. It is growing with diligence. The best sign is you are bound to see noble friends. You are bound to see other people also living in this disturbed society or busy society, still they maintain their integrity. So therefore, it is a one-man army. One has to start declared uh, endeavorance of mindfulness and see how much you become day by day, how much you become diligent, how much you are alert. And this diligence, at the early part, I started to see the mistake of the therapeutic mindfulness and the healing. And now the Western world itself is understanding the mindfulness must bring back to preventative. They developed the concept or coined the idea emotional literacy. You can understand the other person's emotions because you understand your mind. You understand your behavior, physical and verbal. And then when the other person is talking and behaving, exactly you can see, you can understand what is happening. So therefore, his problem become your problem. Your meditation become his endowment. You can share it with. You get attraction for that kind of people. So emotional literacy is emotional literacy curriculum these days. In Connecticut, I think in the New Haven University, they are developing it is as a subject to teach children in the schools how to be diligent, how to be emotional literacy, how to understand others' emotional body, because otherwise people are very callous. They don't care about the nature. They don't care about the global warming. They don't care about the pollution. They want to do some or the other make money. But whenever you become diligent and mindful and try to walk on the earth or get earth without shoes when you are walking, and you find there's a kind of energy or healing or removing the discharge the static current inside you, and that is free of charge. And when it is happening, you develop the relationship with other living beings. You develop the relationship with the nature, develop with the universe, and you find you are nothing separate from the universe. You are the part and partial. But earlier you used to say I, myself, and here I would say mine, myself, and me. But instead, when you become mindful, these boundaries are become blurred, and you can understand nature. So they are the therapeutic mindfulness becoming preventative. That change is happening in front of our eyes. We've been Sri Lankan, we've been exposed to the teaching of the precious Buddha's teaching, and there we can see how slowly Western people understand and put them as new theories and coining and kind of thing. But when you go back to the Tripitaka, they are in the full concentrated form. Of course, it may be too much for us to understand in the concentrated form, may be easier to understand in English, in the Western way, and kind of no harm. No harm. So therefore, I used to say, never too late for the mindfulness. Never too late to be diligent. Because it is a ongoing subject. So therefore, whenever someone started little bit of mindfulness, little bit of diligence, he start backward journey. I'm sorry for the term I am using. You try to feel like a baby. You develop the childlike psychology, not the childish psychology. Ultimately, you can entertain the world. And the people are trying to make it polluted, global warming, and internal external pollution, but you are not at least contributing to this pollution by in terms of development or creativity, though these are the camouflage you use. But whenever you are breathing as such, we are walking as such, and then you can understand you are a normal human being and diligent and mindful, and you can see anytime you can start it. And more you start, more you develop mindfulness and the diligence, your retrospection, coming back to the source. Oh, as young children, we were so innocent, we were so beautiful. But after the age 6, when we started education, what happened? That innocent fellow escaped. Now we are with so much of rigor and fighting and one-upmanship, and our brothers and sisters appear like enemies. We are not living in this childlike world. So more and more you practice mindfulness and the diligence, you try to see that potential, that possibility is still available. It being never permanently destroyed. And even the worst criminal on the earth, they have a hope. They can start. So when we are working with the terminal cancer patient, when we are dealing with the drug addicts, when we are dealing with the abused children and prisoners, I mean, they are so absorbent. Whenever someone going to say, okay, you have done no problem with the, due to your problem or due to the society's corruption, you are now in such a situation, but nothing preventing you from being mindful. And you don't believe how quickly they can catch. One time I went to the magazine prison in Colombo, and 116 or 14 people all were sentenced to death. But when you are sitting with the white clothes, very difficult to make it out. They are just like good upasakas. And in the discussion, one person told, when they are conducting a lot of medical meditation program in the prison itself, and they are asking us to come and sit cross-legged and close the eyes and try to see the breath. Bante, can you imagine, we criminals, when you close the eyes and sit, what is happening in our minds? It is not meditating, it's bubbling and it's frothing. So how can we meditate? We are imprisoners. But instead you taught us how to do walking. When my left leg is touching the ground, I know left leg is touching. And that mindfulness, when I am carrying undisturbed the right leg, I know mindfulness is gathering the momentum. But the only 4 steps I kept: left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. I start crying. Because I found that it is possible. I am being sentenced to death. I am imprisoned, but still I can be mindful. But I am sorry that due to this idea, I lost my mindfulness, but I wanted to share with you. So Buddha never looked down, even the criminals as disqualified, because your potential never disturbed. Your possibility never disturbed. Your bloody self-criticism is the one disturbing you. So therefore, you must be very self-sympathetic. You must understand, never mind, we all have done mistakes. No one born and left the life with the complete purity. Never mind. The mindfulness is such a accommodating quality. It is nothing to introduce. It is nothing to teach. We are born with. Only thing is you have to catalyze it. We have to give a chance for it. And ultimately, once the mindfulness gather the momentum, that become the best friend. And it will teach you slowly, what is the next best. And for that, you have nothing to consult library books. You have nothing to gain from the PhD and the MSc or BSc. Nothing. Your cosmic library is within yourself. Your individual cell. Each and everyone is carrying a nucleus, the self-nucleus and RNA, DNA, chromosomes. Each and every RNA, DNA carry the whole human history. We never consult it. We never consult body knowledge. We are seeking foreign experts. We are seeking half-boiled books. People writing with so much of prolific way, they never practice. But whenever you come back to the mind, when you come back to the mindfulness, when you come back to the present moment, you let the body to relax and see, whenever in front of another person or any other confrontation with any adverse or good object, body knows what to do. But you must be observant. You must see it instead of pumping artificial intelligence. instead of using tools, instead of using gadgets. Just look at it. The body gives the best, but we never consult it because we are not inside, we are outside. Education is completely putting you into outside. Not, of course, completely. If you know the art, while be a well-educated person, still you can be mindful. You can be mind your own business. So this is the way the mindfulness and the diligence can work together. But I agree, I definitely agree, if you can do as a group, excellent. Samagganam taposuko. When we brothers and sisters, friends, uh, like-minded people, when you do, it gathers such a momentum. We in Nisarnavani now we have 30 monks. Even with this corona situation, we accommodate few lay people. We get together, sit together, walk together, discuss together, discourse together, and we are putting a the how do you call comprehensive knowledge or sum total of our experience, and ultimately we found more than our blood related brothers, we have something to share. And we never find any restriction or any restraint or any loneliness due to corona. Of course, it is a good blessing for us. It's a blessing in disguise. And we have a lot of virtual retreats and lot of other ways to share with, because lucky enough, before corona, we were little mindful. So this is the crux of the message we have to share. Don't wait till the adverse situation happens. Then you have only you have to resolve into the therapy. But instead, if you are prepared before the adverse situation as a preventative, all the people know this therapy and the preventative mindfulness is difficult to sell. No one is going to buy unless otherwise you are at the face of a distraction. Then you chase behind masters and yoga and wholesome food and wholesome everything. But if someone going to say, hey, darling, don't wait till that adverse situation happen. Please take little time to incorporate and introduce mindfulness to yourself and be aware adverse situation can happen any moment. When the corona-like adverse situation happen, not a single world leader is a leader. Not a single scientist is a scientist. Everyone succumb to the situation. But if you are mindful, you can understand the well-prepared people, well taken this corona situation, and they are better off. And even the tsunami happens. If you are prepared, because we have to be aware, whatever the mighty knowledges and money we have, they all become zero at a time. But the mindfulness never loses its credibility. So therefore, you have to take time. So before starting the topic, before starting the talk, I would say I really appreciate the book published in Sri Lanka, Buddhist Publication Society. The name of the book is Power of Mindfulness. The author was Most Venerable Jnanaponika Thero, is from Germany. I have never seen such a pragmatic book on mindfulness written 50, 60 years ago. And we managed to get the permission and translate into the Sinhala as well as into Tamil language. English book is original authors, and there are other 3 Sinhala translations. So that explain very clearly the crux of the teaching of the Buddha and how such a thing attracted the Henry Steele Olcott and the Blavatsky and others, and then they revolved. The revolution happened in Sri Lanka in all the arenas. So therefore, we ourselves must take this message and be mindful and be alert, and I think that will be the best. if we are to give it to our children. And hope in one day in Sri Lanka, we can declare a mindful day and later a mindful nation. With that kind of idea behind in mind, I would like to sum up the day's talk. Thank you very much for listening. If you have time or if you have spare time, I can spend 10-15 minutes for a discussion. Otherwise, we will end up the session with this talk. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Ping Hamdrune, this is Vijay Vatugala, one of the moderators. And audience, please send your questions to everyone. And we have one of the moderators collecting them so that we can ask from the teacher. And so one of the question, the first question I got, I will ask now. Thank you for pointing out Sabba Papasa Akaranam comes first and the diligence and mindfulness required for it. Is it possible to be diligent / mindful about Kusalasa Upasampada at the same level, or is there some sort of a law of thermodynamics which accord Sabba Papasa Akaranam a special place?
So I gave the example, horse before the cart, or cart before the horse. So when the horse is going, cart will drag. Instead, if you're going to put the cart before the horse has no reverse gear. So the day you start Sabbapavasa Karna, you learn what does it mean by Kusala Supasampada. Otherwise, you are dealing Kusalasa with bewildered mind, with unmindful mind, with delayed mind or pamada. So fifth precept, Suramereya Majja Pamadattana Veramani Sikkapadan Samadhyami. The world is in negligence, pamada. So with that mind, they don't know what is good and the bad. First thing to start, have a revolutionary one is just let the mind to have zero level, the datum level, sabba papa sakarna. Then mind become very prolific. It become very electric. And then naturally, you know what is the next best. So therefore, first thing first, or horse before the cart is the, whether you like it or not, the system. So don't worry. Try to be mindful. Definitely you will attract to the good friends and the noble friends, and you will do enormous amount of meritorious deeds or skillful things and unimaginable. It is gathering the momentum like anything. First and foremost, you must be qualified by being mindful and be diligent. That is my short answer for that.
Another question. It's asking, I see mindfulness as seeing changes in my mind right there. Example, when I get angry, I know that I am getting angry. Is that a correct interpretation of mindfulness?
Mind weakness is like a Singaling horage ammai peenahana wage. But anyway, it may be a good indication you are ready to see your mistakes. Usually moral people, they consider as the morality not to see mistakes. So that is the biggest crime. But instead, if you can see, I have with the raga, I have with dosa, I have with moha, or desire, hatred, or ignorance, that very acceptance, that very non-judgment observation is something radical. So therefore, mindfulness is the only one allowing choiceless awareness, allowing evilly suspended attention. So there you may see the arising desire, the arising hatred is not me. It is not mine. It is something happening. So you know how to look at it from the distance point of view or as a distance observer. And there you find you are not different from other people. Everyone's mind is, everyone's pocket you have that. So if you are declaring to another person, I started mindfulness, I see these kind of defilements, other person will definitely come and say, hey darling, it's just exactly with me also. And you can see some good things also. Good thing means no hatred. Good thing is no desire. Good thing is no ignorance. You can't note it. You cannot desire. You cannot hatred. You can see ignorance. No hatred, no desire, no ignorance. You are not born to that. So that happened in a relative way. More and more you understand the whenever the hatred, desire happens, lack of desire, no signs. The lack of hatred, no signs. Lack of ignorance, no signs. So that signless learning is not in the education, in the school. That is something inherent in the human, and that is the one. That is what the Buddha catalyzed. He says, just see what is available, good or bad, never mind. But one day you will see lack of them. When you look at the sky, you can see stars. What about the distance between two stars? We never look at it because our eyes are accustomed to see stars. Likewise, our minds are, our defiled mind is accustomed to see raga, dosa, moha. So if you ask the mind, hey, never mind, see raga, dosa, moha. But where is the tapestry? What is in what volume, in what space it is happening? You can't see the volume. You can see only dots. So this is a very good start, but it's a very radical one. So therefore, continue, but share it with other senior practitioners, and they will teach you, they will share with you how to make use this kind of knowledge. We are moving forward.
ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ මේ ඊගාව ප්‍රශ්නය the next question is that when we live in the regular world, we need information from our past, empirical knowledge, and also plan for the future. And how is that and the mindfulness work together?
Yeah, that when we are Nissaranavane, our constitution says no newspapers, no radio, no TV. But we are fairly knowledgeable. And all the media, all the mass media is pouring you with all the filth. And they are their own responsibility. And therefore, not the matter of information, but it's pragmatic part. What is the utility value? Now we are luxurious regarding the information. Ultimately, we can succumb to, we become slaves. They are controlling our everything. In terms of knowledge, in terms of media. So the Buddha, when he was living 29 years inside the palace, the Suddhodana kept him away from the worldly suffering. Just like the Christian's world, making the world suffering is out of the street. No beggars, no sick people, no mad people, no elderly. They are kept away. Because the world is created by such a perfect intelligence or intelligent design. And exactly thing happened. The first day he see 4 signatas, 4 signs, decided. After that, he lived 45 years as a human being, as a beggar. He was the most knowledgeable person. But news comes. It is a Varanava Soshanya. Selective absorption is what we don't know. So now information making or news magnates are monitoring our mind, piercing our mind. So therefore lack of information, I don't see as a problem. It's too much of information. We don't know. Even the young children are given unwanted information. So therefore, whenever mind is ready, whenever mind is absorbent, it knows how to take. Instead of you give information, it's I would say conditioning of the mind. And that is what the big governments and the big universities are doing for the moment. Maybe I am too much critical on that point. We are moving.
Thank you, Swaminathan. There's another question coming here. Dear Venerable Bhante, please kindly explain how Appamada lead to liberation, freedom from suffering.
So Appamada means you are never delayed. Usually when you come to see the phenomena, we see already arisen phenomena. We never see the arising part of the phenomena. Our senses only can see the tip of the iceberg. It never see the iceberg. So Appamada means whenever you met up with an object, repetitive object, you try to see the beginning without delaying. You go to the source, go here to the initial part, and that is the most important thing the Buddha found, not already arisen one. How does it arise? Ye dhamma hetupabhava tesang hetun tatagato aha. Whatever the arisen thing is, due to a due course. We are dealing with the arisen one without knowing the due course. Appamada is the way, go back to the source. It's a painfully slow. But somewhere you have to start. Once you started slow, you regress backward. And whenever going to the source, the beginning, everything arises from the same source. Beginning is every time 100% pure. Once it is developed into the phenomena only, it gets defiled and liking and disliking and everything happen. By that time, it is too late. So therefore, understanding what you have seen is already polluted. Go backward. Each step you are going backward, the purity happens. And you see the path backward is never blocked. Unless otherwise your desire to see what your senses wanted to know, not the knowledge wanted to know. Therefore, Appamada is opening the door to see the beginning, and that is well established in the medical science. Not only you must see the symptoms, you must see the causative, original pathogen. Then only medicine going to work. In the Cox postulation, you have to reinfest the same pathogen again and again to make sure symptoms are correct. So therefore, you can't do it in the hospital. That happening in the medical research institute. So likewise, the Appamada is our research institute. Whatever arisen is due to due course. Without knowing the cause, whatever the remedies you are suggesting is half knowledge. So, of course, it will take little time for you to understand the root cause. By these, then it is directly answerable. So that is why the prevention is taking more time than therapeutic products. So today world is so hectic, only going for the therapy and healing rather than prevention. Diligence is the answer. We are moving.
Swamin Hansa, the next question I have is sitting, standing, walking, and reclining. We can engage in mindfulness practice in any of these. Why is the lotus position and straight back is recommended?
It is a theoretical maximum. You see, whenever the terminal patients of cancer, they can't sit, they can't walk, they can only see the lying down position. But still, they know they are lying down. So likewise, if you have theoretical maximum, ujung kayam panidahaya parimukan satyang upattapetva, perfect. But if it is not there, don't wait till the next Buddha to happen and have the perfection. Start with the next best. So likewise, after long aeons of research, the Buddha gave the maximum. And if it is not there, don't hesitate. In Nisarnavane we says, පූජාවට සමම්පිච්ච නැත්තම් පූජාව නොකර ඉන්න එපා ගැටපිච්ච අරගෙන පූජාව කරන්න. සමම්පිච්ච නැහැ කියලා පූජා නොකර ඉන්න එපා. ගැටපිච්ච වෙනකොට සමම්පිච්ච තියෙනක හොඳයි. Likewise, you can have the perfect theoretical maximum. So this is the way, if you are going to expect the maximum or the idealistic, It will happen. So start with what is available. You can have a straight back chair. Sitting in such a way, in our sitting video, we prepared it, or you can stand and then you can be aware I am here and now. So likewise, every place you can do, but you must be very pragmatic and share it with, and we also ready to share this kind of information because they are not so rare. We are moving.
Thank you, Swaminathan. We have some questions coming in. And also before that, to all the participants, kindly request, we are not able to ask questions verbally. So kindly send all the questions through the chat. So we will forward to the Swaminathan. That's just a reminder. And Swaminathan, the next question is, when I do breathing meditation, keeping my breath on the nose area, I see the mind getting distracted from thoughts. How can I be more mindful to keep my mind on breath?
So whenever mind is distracted, you know mind is distracted. That understanding distraction and distraction is mindfulness or lack of mindfulness is a philosophical question. When you know, when your mind is with the breath, you know it is with the breath. Whenever it is distracted, bewildered and fantasizing, you know it is with fantasize. It is bewildered, it is unmindful. That very understanding, I will put it in this way. Understanding the mindfulness is mindful with the breath. Understanding the mindfulness with the bewilderment, understanding is the same. So that is very difficult to convince, but accept it. And then whenever possible, with the distraction, whenever possible, bring it back to the safe land. When you back home, and you find to bring understanding that you are not mindful and bringing back to the mindfulness, hardly any difficulty. And that journey backward is very, very adventurous, very, very aesthetic. And if you can report it, before you get the answer, your reporting itself is refining you. So therefore, don't worry about the distractions. See the possibility to bring it back home, bring it back to the primary object. We are moving.
Um, uh, the next question I have is, most our action are fear driven. Is the root cause of all fears are based on self or ego? Is there a meditation that we can practice to renounce self, which help us escape our egocentric nature?
Yeah, understanding ego itself is a radical way of reflecting back. And whenever you can understand egotistic, ego-based action, occasionally you find some automatic action in, how do you call, uh, effortless action. So there are also sometimes we call, I did it, this kind of thing, but it is a passive voice. Active voice is always is self. So whenever you observe and make a journal, make a bookkeeping, you find you can understand what you have done with the will and the volition and kind of thing. But lot of hips, lot of areas, you find actions are there, but no doer. So these are the keyholes. These are the loopholes whereby you can see mind is not a wall-like thing. It's a lot of holes, and just mark whatever may be self-doing, me, mine, and myself. And you're bound to see whenever you keep the journal, there are a lot of other action effortlessly. Don't put down them. Don't ignore them. Keep them also the due place, and they are the real door opening for your life, for your spirituality. We are moving.
Swaminathan, actually this question is, actually there are 2-3 questions regarding Satipasala, probably because we started with Satipasala introductory video. This question is actually, I have seen Colombo school children bust into Nisarnamane for Sati training. Does the children from remote areas given the same exposure? And I have another question relating to Sati Pasala. ADHD, attention deficit disorder, has become a common word in the US culture. Has this become topic in Satipasal in Sri Lanka or the groups in Melbourne?
Yeah, that we started with Colombo and some grassroots level schools, and then we introduced the religious and ආගමික සහ සාර ධර්මාංශය, and then we covered all the pirivenas through the top class people, and then we went to the nutritional and health, and there also we try to give. And now we have prepared the complete list from the provincial directors to the teacher training and happening. We already covered 3 districts, very remote areas, and we have wanted to cover all the 9 districts. That is about teacher training, that is about the facilitators. And meanwhile, each and every school can make a request. We in Satipasal accept invitation. After the president gave us an interview, after the after the education secretary, Mr. Kapila Perra, gave open invitation for us to go for national level, many principals and teachers, without fear, they directly contact us. And we try our best. It was a massive task, but we have the remote methods. We have CDs, we have videos, we have books, English, Sinhala and Tamil, and we try our best. Everything is free of charge. So we never charge anything. So therefore, remote areas are not special for us, because we consider everything equal. And HTAD, we had a psychiatric course. They says that hyperactive children, that is children. And they are going to make money out of that. And they give Ritalin and all the kind of thing and seduce the child. And then ultimately they become just somber. So children is like that. But if you are given walking meditation, if you give mindful games, they become so friendly, their energy become positive, and we, mindful facilitators, become third party, like Santa Claus. So they are not naughty. So therefore, of course, it is private basis or individual basis or retail basis, you have to do it. When you are doing, you remember your child age. We have done all the kind of naughty things. But lucky enough, at that time, no psychiatrists. Whenever psychiatrists come into seeing, a lot of psychiatric patients. So before psychiatry happened, we had a very nice child age, and we did a lot of naughty things. So therefore, whenever you think the problem from the children point of view, you may see, if you don't give the proper answer, they will become negative to the society, negative to the teacher, negative to the parents. Now in Sri Lanka, 93% teachers are with the tension and the frustration, because they don't know how to communicate with children. So we have to train them. We have to give psychiatric courses to the teachers. Directors and others are saying that very pathetic. So therefore, we have to understand the child. Understanding a child, I know we can't understand 35 children in the school, in the classroom, but we have to have one by one in the individual basis. And that is very aesthetic, that is very interesting, because in Sri Lanka, we have a good teams, and psychiatric training also we are training, of course. And therefore, Sri Lanka is not exceptional when compared to America. But the amount of children we have tackled out of 9,500 schools, 1,000 covered. Out of 4.5 million, I think 1/10 we have already covered. So we are still with the success story. We are still with the least frictional path. We have positive hope.
Swamin Wahansa, there's a follow-up question. They're asking, is Satipasala available for US children or online?
We asked number of things. Your Anandian old boy, Atula Seniviratna, they are doing in New Jersey and Connecticut, and Canada. We have Toronto, we have Winnipeg, and US we have. So therefore, whenever, and Minneapolis, We have, so likewise, due to the corona, now we are doing it in the virtual way. And we have appointed Radhika as the international coordinator. And I would like to introduce to them. And then whenever you prepare the platform, we will try and we'll come and do our best. And we have tools. We have started in a small way, but in America, in Australia, New Zealand, it is happening in big way.
Thank you, Swaminathan. We are going back to a normal typical question. Why we do not have peaceful minds in this complex world? We always in a race to obtain and maintain things, both physical and beyond. How we learn to satisfy with what's available rather what's out there.
So before talking about the mental situation, your physical and verbal training must be there. Without physical and verbal training, you can't go to the mind situation. So therefore, understanding mind is unstable is a very good point. But that is because your physical instability, because of your verbal instability. So whenever you become socialized, you lose your control. So therefore, have at least compassionate 1 hour for you to just sit and just give a physical stillness and not to talk and to have verbal stillness. And after a while, as a result of that, the mind will calm down. Imagine a wild buffalo taken from the wilderness and put into the bind into the pole in the village. How much it is bewildered. So likewise, whenever look at the mind, mind is bewildered. So understand it's a gradual process, physical, verbal, and mental. And you now in the crux of the problem. So start with what is due. That is, start with the physical and verbal training. And I may give another question, time for the another question. Otherwise, time is running out.
Thank you very much. And at this point, we are going to go to a break, 10 minutes break, a 10-minute break. And please, during the break, write down all the questions and send it to everyone. We are going to collect all the questions and we are going to ask beginning of tomorrow those questions from Hamdro. And after the break with Venerable Chandraratana, also we have a Q&A period. And so we will collect all the questions, ask them appropriately. So that's very important. And
Okay.
Thank you,
goodbye.
Swaminathan,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
So you will be actually, we'll be seeing you tomorrow morning, Swaminathan. Again at 7 o'clock Sri Lanka time, 7:30 Sri Lanka time, 7 o'clock in the morning California time. So thank you so much for your time and very valuable inputs. And we'll see you tomorrow. And Teruvan Saranai, Swaminathan.
Teruvan Saranai, Teruvan Saranai, Sukhi Hotu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So the 10-minute break is over, and we are going to start the next session now. And I would like to introduce our next teacher. Anandians, friends. It's my privilege to introduce you to our second teacher, Panadure Chandaratanathero, a deputy abbot of the Nisarana Vanaya Mitrigala Aranya. He had an interesting path to monkhood. He graduated from University of Moratuwa, Sri Lanka, with an electrical engineering degree in 1998, and he obtained his master's in computer science in 2008. And he had worked in Sri Lanka, Singapore, and USA before becoming a monk in 2008 at Nauyana Forest Monastery under Nauyuni Aryadam Mahathera. And his teachers there were Venerable Aryananda Mahathera and Nandasiri Thera. And 2014, he spent time in Burma with Sayadev U. Pandita. I didn't write it down well. Uttara, I'm not going to say that. And after that, when he came to Sri Lanka, he joined the Nisasaravanaya under Udairegama Dhammajiva Thera. And so one of the things, Ananda Maikanda had worked closely with him. And so I said that he explains complex Dhamma topics with surprising simplicity and freshness and deep understanding of Dhamma. So I will invite him to, first he will start with the guided meditation. And after that, he'll have a sermon, and then we'll have a Q&A.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So I welcome all of you for this Ananda-Nalanda All Boys Association located in West Coast, California. So I like to ask all of you to sit for a comfortable position. Now we are going for a guided sitting session. Actually, Bhante Dhammajiva already informed you, enlightened you regarding the benefits of mindfulness, and so we are now trying to practice this for a while. So please try to find a comfortable position, be relaxed, and you can gently close your eyes. So you can simply calm down. There may be various thoughts coming to your mind. There may be even various sounds, even what I am telling, the words you can hear, various sensations, and everything available. And we are not trying to cut them off. Rather, we are opening up ourselves to everything. While your eyes are gently closed, you can open up yourself and to listen certain sounds. And maybe various sensations available in your body. Or even various thoughts coming and going in your mind. So we are not resisting anything, we are acknowledging everything. We are trying to come back to the present moment. All these various things happening right now helps us to establish mindfulness. We are not thinking about the past, We are not regretting about what we did. And again, we are not daydreaming. We are not fantasizing. We are not planning anything. Rather, we are trying to come to this very simple present moment. So try to appreciate this simplicity. It is so direct, so simple. Being with yourself. Your eyes are gently closed. And you are breathing naturally. Your lips may be gently touching. Your tongue kept at the middle. You are not making any effort using the tongue. Jaws are not tightly coupled. The whole face feeling very relaxed. There is no any tightness in any facial tissues, any facial muscles. The whole face appear very relaxed. And not even wrinkles in your forehead. You are not thinking any problem right now. Come back to this very simple present moment. Leaving aside all your assignments, all your obligations, various commitments. You are not thinking about them right now, but trying to be with yourself. This is a little time you got for yourself. Appreciate it. And your hands are kept on your lap or maybe on the table, and they are also very relaxed. Shoulders are also relaxed. You are not holding them effortfully. Maybe your back straight. And probably you can feel some stiffness, kind of a weight, heaviness, or kind of a pressure at the buttocks on the seat that where you are sitting. Legs are bent, calf muscles are relaxed, and probably your foot touching the ground. Check whether you can feel everything. Open up yourself. Awake to the present moment. There may be various thoughts coming to the mind. Don't worry. Leave them aside. Don't give any value to those thoughts. Right now, you are trying to be with yourself. Your foot touching the ground. Calf muscles are relaxed. Legs are bent. Your half body erect, and you can feel some pressure on your buttocks. Hands are resting on your lap. Shoulders are relaxed. Neck straight. Head straight. Eyes are gently closed. Lips are gently touching. And we are breathing very relaxed. Coming back to yourself. Nothing much to do. There is no big deal. Coming back to yourself. Relaxing. Now probably you can check whether you can feel various sensations throughout the body. Among them, rising and falling is one prominent sensation. As you're breathing in, you can feel that the abdomen coming forward, rising. As you're breathing out, is coming back, falling. If you like, you can note it, you can label it, rising, falling, rising, falling. There is no rush. Allow it to happen naturally. And you, like an outsider, simply watching it, observing it. If any thoughts come, don't worry. Simply come back to yourself, leaving them aside. Coming back again and again to this rising and falling. Very direct, very simple experience. If your mind distracts, you can continuously label, note, rising, falling. If you are able to tame your mind, if it is calming down, probably you can stop labeling and simply be aware how this process happens. Embracing each rising and each falling. Your mind collected at each rising, each falling. If you are able to establish mindfulness, you can look at various other sensations as well. And even various feeling tones. And even you can watch your mind. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Hope now we can get into the next session. Actually, next session is on establishment of mindfulness. I like to share screen on a particular document. So I like to share this screen and then start the Dhamma sermon. May you sit quietly and give your consent by saying sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Satipatthānaṁ ca vo bhikkhave desissāmi satipatthāna bhāvanaṁ ca satipatthāna bhāvanā gāminiṁ ca patipadaṁ taṁ sunāthāti. Dear Dhamma friends, Bhante Dhammajiva already discussed certain benefits of mindfulness and how it is important. And now I like to take you a little deeper where how we can establish mindfulness. Because we need to understand that mindfulness is really an important thing. How are we going to properly develop it? How are we going to gradually, systematically develop it? And that is quite important to know, because Buddha has very clearly mentioned in this Satipatthana Samyukta, there's a one beautiful sutta called Vibhanga Sutta. We can translate it as Satipatthana analysis. And there Buddha briefly mention three aspects of this whole practice. The first aspect is the establishment of mindfulness. So that we can say as the first step And next, the Satipatthana meditation, the development of the establishment of mindfulness, Satipatthana Bhavana. And then the way leading to the development of establishment of mindfulness, or Satipatthana Bhavana Gaminincha Patipada. So there are three aspects. The first, establishment of mindfulness, and Buddha doesn't stop there, and then he is taking us to the development of establishment of mindfulness, development of Satipatthana Bhavana. And then he is talking about Satipatthana Bhavana Gaminincha Patipada. So these are three aspects. Actually, when we are talking about mindfulness, if we know all these three aspects, then we can cover the whole spectrum. Otherwise, we are talking partially. So that's why I like to briefly explain all these three aspects during today and on tomorrow. So first of all, we'll take the first step. So that is the establishment of mindfulness. So that is Satipatthana. So when it is telling the word Satipatthana, probably to your mind, it may be a familiar word because there are many Satipatthana suttas available where Buddha is talking about establishment of mindfulness. And among them, Satipatthana Sutta, the sutta called Satipatthana Sutta, is one of the most prominent mindfulness related sutta available in the canon. One available in the Digha Nikaya, the long discourses, and another available in Majjhima Nikaya, the middle length discourses. So in both these suttas, actually Buddha talks about the establishment of mindfulness as well as the development of the Satipatthana, development of the establishment of mindfulness. And in this sutta, in this analysis, Buddha very clearly defines what is the establishment of mindfulness and what is the development of establishment of mindfulness and what is the patipada, what is the practice. So there are certain qualities Buddha emphasize when we are getting on to this practice. So he first start with very basics. So how to establish mindfulness using our body? That sometimes we call it as Kayanupassana. How to establish mindfulness using our own body. Now, if we take a little simile, now if you think about a ship, when we want to keep it very strong without moving here and there, then we are using an anchor. A heavy anchor will help the ship to make it stable, stationary. Similarly, when we consider our own mind, it is going here and there. It is thinking about the past, regretting about the past, and maybe enjoying about the past, and maybe going to the future, planning, daydreaming, fantasizing. So many movements are there if we consider our own typical untrained mind. Now, if we want to train the mind, first of all, we have to establish mindfulness using our body. So that is the easiest aspect. So there are many ways of establishing mindfulness, and the most easiest way of establishing mindfulness is using our own body. So that's why I encourage you today during the guided sitting session, how to use various aspects, various sensations available in this body to establish mindfulness. Typically, we don't pay attention to any of these. Typically, our attention is drawn outside. We are interested about this and that, and maybe about various other people, and various about sights, sounds, smells, taste, tactile sensations, and always we are living outside. But mindfulness helps us to come back to ourselves, and for that, establishing mindfulness using our own body is a kind of an opening. That is where we can start. So there also Buddha does not simply limit ourselves to one area, but rather he is giving a lot of methods, not just one. Actually, there are 14 methods mentioned in Satipatthana Sutta itself. Now, if we say how to establish mindfulness. So first of all, as a beginner, probably it is best to find a suitable place which is fairly silent and less disturbing and fairly a secluded place. And you are wearing very clean clothes and you have sort of finished most necessary activities and you have little restful time. Now you are dedicating your time and you have selected the proper place, and if possible you can sit cross-legged, and if impossible you can even select a chair. And now you can going to develop, you are now trying to bring your attention. Now our attention, as I said, is always going outside. We are extrovert. Now we are trying to change ourselves, how to become introvert, coming back to ourselves. So once we sit properly, we should feel some comfort, feeling at ease. Now, suppose you are in a very hectic day. So a lot of arguments, a lot of tensions, a lot of stress. And coming back home, probably you should be able to find out some sort of a comfort after sitting in a comfortable chair. And that comfort, you should be, it should be accessible to yourself. So once you are sitting, so this comfort is available. So we are sort of enjoying that comfort, appreciating that comfort, feeling at ease. And then you can keep your attention to the body, how it is now located. Now you are leaving aside the world, leaving aside the family, leaving aside the job, and coming back to yourself. In a way, very simple, coming back to yourself. And there, once you are able to establish mindfulness, more and more you can feel yourself, feel your body, how your head is kept, how your eyes are closed, how your mouth closed, how your tongue is kept. Are you keeping the jaws tightly coupled? How are you keeping your hands? How are you keeping your legs? So everything we can feel. It is not we are thinking about the body. We are trying to sense the body. We are trying to be aware of the body. So there's a big difference. We don't need to really rationally think about the body. Rather, we are trying to calm down the mind and trying to be aware of the body. So that is a big difference. We are nowadays thinking too much, but now here we are not trying to think, rather we are trying to be aware. We are trying to be intimate with our body. We are coming back to ourselves, kind of an intimacy towards our body. So as a result, we are trying to feel the body, how it is feel like sitting, how it is feel like standing, how it is feel like when we are walking, how it is feel like when we are lying down. So everything we can feel, we can sense, we can be aware. So this really helps us to come back to ourselves. So we are using this body as an anchor to establish mindfulness. So we can use various postures, the sitting posture, walking posture, lying down posture, standing posture, and any other posture. So any bodily posture helps us to establish mindfulness. So you suppose you are driving a car. So at that time you can establish mindfulness. While you are waiting for someone, you can come back to yourself and you can simply watch how your body is placed. And suppose you are brushing your teeth, how your body is placed. Various activities you can take. And when you come back to yourself, it may not be really interesting. Body may have various aches, itches, irritations, doesn't matter. But it is much better than thinking about kind of a regretting incident, thinking about various plans. But here, this sensation, this may be an irritation, this may be a little pain, this may be an itching, but still it is happening right now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but today, right now, at this very moment. So we are now trying to be awake to that very sensation happening right now, at this very moment. So are we able to open to that sensation? Are we able to accept that sensation rather than having any kind of a preconceived idea? So this sensation has to be this way, that way. It has to be a nice sensation. It has to be a pleasurable sensation. We are not having any kind of such preconceived ideas. We don't have any preferences, but accepting as it is. Whatever happens, however it is popping up, we are accepting it fully. Your heart has a lot of space to embrace it as it is. Like a mother embracing her child, irrespective of his or her behavior. Now you are accepting all these sensations, all these itches, all these irritations, all these little pains, or even kind of a pleasurable feelings, happy feelings. We are embracing, we are sensing, we are being with them. And if you are able to feel yourself, feel your body more and more, so you can understand you are very much like living. You are not daydreaming, you are not fantasizing, you are not in a different world, but you are well grounded, well earthed. Now only you have become a really living person. Otherwise, we may be living in the past, living in the future. We never live in the present moment. So these simple exercises, simple sensations, all these direct experiences helps us to awaken to this present moment. So when we are maximizing this experience more and more, again and again, now probably you may be able to be awake, be aware to many moments, not just one moment, to many moments. For 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for 15 minutes, you are living with yourself. You are fully aware of your various sensations available in the body and fully embracing no resistance, having a very open mind. And if you are able to come back to yourself, then probably you may be able to recognize some predominant sensations available, like what we have selected today, rising and falling of the abdomen. As we breathing in, the abdominal movement is there. As we breathing in, it comes forward, rising. As we breathe out, it's coming back. That is the falling. So we use this simple experience as a way of improving mindfulness. Now, when we establish mindfulness, it is not that every day we are simply stagnating there. Rather, we have to come up with various strategies to improve it. So if we are able to be mindful on one sensation, so that contributes a very little amount to the development of mindfulness. Suppose you are being mindful to another sensation, to another rising and falling. Again, it will contribute a little amount to the development of mindfulness. So likewise, if you are able to keep your attention on the abdomen again and again, then probably you will be able to establish mindfulness again and again using rising and falling, because this rising and falling is a natural phenomena. You don't need to purposely breathe, you don't need to forcefully breathe, rather you simply allow body to breathe. It's a kind of a very beautiful balance. So the body is breathing very natural, and you are keeping your attention at the abdomen, and you are simply looking at it, watching it, observing it very carefully with an equanimous mind. You are not trying to control, you are not putting any conditions, you are not applying any preferences. Rather, you accept it as the way it is. When it is rising, you are fully acknowledging it, fully witnessing it. When it is falling, you are fully acknowledging it, fully witnessing it. Again and again, again and again. So if you are able to repetitively do this, then more and more you engage in your practice, more and more mindfulness will be developed. And if you are able to keep your attention at the nostril, the same story. So you can be aware of the in-breath, you can be aware of the out-breath. So breathing is another very interesting phenomena that we can use to improve mindfulness. So you are keeping your attention at the nostril, and when in-breath happens, you are ready to accept it, you are ready to know it, you are ready to embrace it. You are not going inside with the breath, rather you simply stay at the nostril. And again, when breathing out happens, you simply embrace it, being aware of it, and you let it go, and you simply stay at the nostril again and again. And if you feel that your mind distract, then probably you can use labeling: in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. So these are very simple techniques taking us to a deeper path. So if it is mindfulness, it has to be very simple. All the techniques, all the mindfulness related techniques are extremely simple. So because of this simplicity, sometimes people can't appreciate it. But when we know the value and when we really practice, then we can understand how this simplicity can take us to some profound understanding. So therefore, don't think that these are two simple practices, but these simple practices are actually taking us a long journey. And similarly, so when you are walking, so typically we may have walked many kilometers, but we have never been mindful about that walking. We are thinking about the past, thinking about what we are going to do while walking. But now, when we establish mindfulness, we can still use walking as a way of establishing mindfulness. When your left leg is touching the ground, you're simply keeping attention there. When your right leg is touching the ground, you're simply keeping your attention there again and again. And if you are walking barefoot, then you can further feel. If you are walking on a tile floor, probably you can feel the smoothness, maybe even little cool feeling. You can embrace that experience. You can simply allow the body to walk. Each step you can be mindful. So it's a kind of a relaxing experience. You are now like a newly born child, like you are holding your mother's hand, like you are holding your father's hand. You are now learning to walk. Likewise, kind of a very fresh experience you can have when you do this kind of a walking. Now you are not thinking about the past or dreaming about the future, but trying to be fully aware of this walking. What the body does, you are there. Your bodily activity and the mental observation go hand in hand. So if you are able to improve it, now you can even use it to various feelings. Suppose sometimes we have painful feelings, we have pleasurable feelings, sometimes equanimous feelings. So you can even uh, engage in watching various feelings. In a way, the whole experience is feel really simplified. Now, we may be thinking about ourselves with a lot of conceptual ideas. I am so and so, I have this much of wealth, I have this kind of an education, I am going to do this, I am going to do that. So they are my children, they are my husband, she's my wife, they are my children. So likewise, we have so many preconceived ideas. We are fully occupied with those. But this kind of a simple activity helps us to come back to ourselves, helps us to be aware of ourselves, be fully awake to this present moment. So when we observe various experiences in terms of happy feeling, painful feeling, and neutral feeling, then in a way we are stopping various proliferation with respect to those feelings. Suppose you are having a little pain on your knee. Rather than thinking about various arguments about it, how about recognizing it simply as a little pain? Suppose you are feeling really comfortable. Rather than dreaming about another session, another day about such feeling, how about simply knowing right now I am observing, I am experiencing a comfortable feeling. Similarly, when you are breathing, how about knowing it as a simple neutral feeling? So all this actually helps us to reduce our burden. So we are holding a lot of burden in our mind, but these simple exercises, these simple practices helps us to simplify our whole experience. We are now cutting off a lot of unnecessary information we are holding, unnecessary burden that we are carrying. Now you are trying to simplify your whole experience, like this is a happy feeling, this is a neutral feeling, this is a painful feeling. Again and again you are watching various feelings, like someone else's feelings. Say you are observing various happy, pleasurable feelings coming and going, and you observe it like someone else's feeling. There's a pleasurable feeling arising and it is disappearing. There's a painful feeling arising, it is changing. There are various neutral sensations, neutral feelings throughout the body. Typically, we ignore everything. We are always extrovert. We are always looking outside. We always think that the happiness is available outside. But now we are trying to be happy, finding the happiness inside. So in a way, kind of a change in our lives. Yeah, we have run after various pleasures, thinking that the happiness, pleasure is available outside. But when we are trying to come back to ourselves, coming back home, a kind of a different paradigm is opening for ourselves. Kind of a happiness is available within ourselves. So more and more we are able to look at various feelings in this way. So even when the body is going through some painful feeling, still, rather than cursing ourselves, rather than cursing another person, rather than finding fault with another person, we can simply be aware that this is a painful feeling. And when we are going through some various neutral feelings, rather than nodding, rather than being drowsy, we can be awake to these neutral feelings. So all these feelings, therefore, Buddha says, are a way of establishing mindfulness. So we can use various bodily sensations, various characteristics, and as well as we can use various feelings, happy feelings, neutral feelings, and again, pleasurable feelings. And when we are developing like this, so we are finding a kind of a facility, kind of an ability to look at them objectively. Now we are not carried away by them, rather we are able to look at them objectively. When your foot is touching the ground, you can watch it. When your breathing happens, you can watch it. When there are various sensations, you can watch it. everything is bodily still. Suppose all the things are bodily experiences, doesn't matter. But you can be aware of these bodily experiences. So this watching mind is kind of a one phenomena, and all the experiences happening throughout the body are various other physical phenomena. So you are now able to be aware of various physical phenomena by your knowing, by your observing mind. Now this gives you a kind of a different perspective. So when various bodily sensations are available, you can be aware of them. When various painful experiences are available, you can be aware of them. When various pleasurable experiences are available, you can be aware of them. Now you are not carried away by them. Now you are not fantasizing about them. Now you are not arguing about them. Now you are not thinking about them. But now you are being aware of them. You can be aware of them. You can be awakened to them. You can use those various sensations, various bodily postures, various bodily processes like breathing, rising and falling, to be aware of all these present moment experiences. Similarly, you can be aware of various feelings. Now you are finding this skill. That is something called mindfulness. You can be aware. You can know various experiences. Rather than getting caught up with them, rather than making a story out of them, rather than daydreaming about them, rather than planning with respect to them, rather than attributing it to someone else, are you able to recognize them? Are you able to accept them? Are you able to be aware of them? So at that time, you are not caught up with them. You, like an outsider, can simply watch them. So this is a kind of a paradigm shift. Typically, we don't have this kind of a perspective, this kind of a view. Typically, we immediately get caught up with them. Whenever there is a pleasurable feeling, I want it. I want to have it. This kind of a possessive feeling comes up, possessive attitude comes up, and we get lost. When there is a painful feeling, how to get rid of it? That's the painkiller. How to call the doctor? So various stories we are creating from this painful feeling. Are you able to be awake to this painful feeling? Are you able to be aware of this painful feeling rather than making a story out of that, rather than finding a fault who made that painful feeling, rather than attributing it to outside? Are you able to come back to yourself? So if you are able to recognize this ability, if you are able to improve this ability, now you have a kind of a island, you have a kind of a skill to be aware. When various bodily sensations are there, you can step back and watch it. When breathing happens, you can step back, watch it. When you are standing, you can step back, you can watch the standing posture. When walking happens, you can step back, you can watch how body is walking. When the body is sitting, you can step back and you can watch how the body is sitting. When there is a feeling, you can step back and you can watch how there is a feeling. It is very much like you are traveling by a taxi. So the taxi driver is taking you from one destination to another destination. You are in the back seat. Don't try to instruct the taxi driver. Simply, you can observe outside. You can enjoy the journey. You are now in the back seat. You can simply watch the whole scene. Likewise, when you are out of the scene, when you are not carried away by the scene, when you are not indulged in the scene, you can simply watch like an outsider. So if you are able to develop mindfulness like this, establish mindfulness like this, you can now watch various thoughts available in the mind. Actually, so far, various bodily sensations you watch by the mind. But now you are watching various thoughts appearing in the mind, again by the mind. So this is a little tricky for a beginner. So that's why the establishment of mindfulness is typically taught using the body, various bodily sensations, various bodily postures, breathing, etc. Everything related to the body, and that is quite easy for a beginner. But watching the mind by the mind is a kind of a tricky thing, because when you are trying to be aware of various thoughts, due to the tempting nature, attractive nature of these thoughts, you easily get carried away by those thoughts. Now again you are in the treadmill. Again you are thinking, again proliferating, again ruminating. But if you are able to develop mindfulness using the body and the feelings first, then you know what is mindfulness. You know how to establish mindfulness. And you know when you are not mindful, when you are unmindful. Say, for example, if you are able to develop, enhance mindfulness, then not only while sitting, not only while walking, you can be even mindful while listening. How can you be mindful to a bird's chirping sound? How can you be mindful when someone is talking? Rather than talking inside, are you able to mindfully listen? When you are brushing your teeth, are you able to mindfully brush your teeth? When you are, say, wearing your clothes, are you able to mindfully wear your clothes? When you are stretching your limbs, are you able to be aware of that? When you are talking, are you able to be mindful about it? When you are eating, are you able to be mindful about eating? Now you can understand, now you can expand mindfulness. It is not kind of a limited experience to one kind of an activity, but rather you can expand mindfulness. You may be starting with some basic, like watching the breath, watching the rising and falling, and while walking, uh, be mindful about various steps. When your left foot is touching the ground, you can keep your attention there. When your right foot is touching the ground, you are keeping your attention there. So these are some basic stuff you can use to uh, ignite the mindfulness. But more and more you learn, more and more you practice, you can now expand it to various other daily activities even. And more you have that skill, now you can watch your mind as well. Now there is an angry thought coming. Are you able to look at anger as anger? When there is a lustful thought coming, are you able to look at lustful thought as a lustful thought? When your mind gets confused, are you able to look at confusion? When your mind feels greedy, are you able to know that now the mind is greedy? When there is jealousy, are you able to feel, understand there is a jealousy? When your mind is little irritative, kind of an irritation, kind of a resistance, are you able to know it rather than getting caught up with it? Rather than finding fault with another person, are you able to look at this resistance? Suppose you are in a traffic jam, you are at color lights. So probably kind of a resistance arises in your mind. When is going to this green light going to appear? So at that time, when the kind of a resistance arises in your mind, are you able to be aware of that resistance? Kind of a irritation, kind of a little anger, kind of a resentment. Are you able to be aware of that? So likewise, slowly, now you can be aware of various thoughts. Various thoughts are appearing in the mind. Rather than fertilizing them, rather than being a victim to them, rather than getting caught up with them, Are you able to look at them objectively? They are simply thoughts. This is anger. This is lust. This is jealousy. So likewise, if we are able to look at them objectively, so this will take you another level. So not only the bodily postures, not only the various bodily sensations, now you can even use various thoughts, maybe even thought patterns, various mental states to establish mindfulness, to develop mindfulness. So likewise, you can understand. So Buddha does not stop us at single level. Rather, he is giving us a kind of a spectrum of methods, strategies to develop mindfulness. So finding out body, using various feelings, and even the mind. And more you go deeper, even various phenomena you can use. That is in the Dhammanupassana. Now, while we are doing this, having kind of a effort may be very useful. Otherwise, if you are discouraged, thinking I am too old now, it is too early now, it is too cool now, too cold now, too hot. So then all these are sort of excuses. But if you have some sort of an energy, some sort of an effort, then that will helps you to build up the momentum. Because at the beginning, the development of the mindfulness happened extremely slowly, and your mind is fairly cluttered with various hindrances. So therefore, you have to have a lot of energy to break up these hindrances. So you have to have good effort, and that's why Buddha emphasize here, the one has an ardent effort. So you are not giving up. Mind again and again distract, but never mind, you again and again establish mindfulness. Again mind distract, again you establish mindfulness. Again mind distract, again you establish mindfulness. Never giving up. So this kind of an ardent practice, this kind of an effort, never giving up. So this kind of an attitude is really necessary as a beginner. Because as I mentioned, typically we are fully extrovert. We are always thinking about the outside. We are always thinking about the government, always thinking about various other countries, always thinking about our children, always thinking about our wife, husband, neighbors, etc., etc. Never coming back to ourselves, never feeding ourselves, never being aware of ourselves. So, learning that skill may take a little time. Don't be in a hurry. So don't be in a rush. Don't think that you can do it overnight. So it is like a little plant. When you are simply putting a seed on a fertile soil, and you simply have to put some fertilizer, maybe a little bit of water, and daily kind of a protection, caring. And as a result, slowly a plant will pops up. Then again you are looking after it. The plant may grow. And after, say, a couple of years, it become a huge tree. Similarly, when you start this kind of a very simple practice, using very simple techniques, it is starting with a very slow process. But if you have this ardent effort, if you have this uh, enthusiasm, energy, you never give up. There may be various obstacles, there may be various difficulties, but you never give up. Again and again, you start this, and you are finding some time, and you are trying to be skillful about how to develop mindfulness, how to come back to myself, how to cut off this daydreaming, how to cut off this always finding fault with others and coming back to myself. And these kind of skills that we have to develop. And again, when Buddha is giving this teaching, he's taking us a little further and asking us to see various details, not only living in the surface, but rather going little deep, finding little more detail. Say, for example, when you are watching the breath. How to find out whether this is in-breath and this is the out-breath? How to distinguish? So what's the difference? How in-breath differ from the out-breath? Is the in-breath long? Is the out-breath short? Is the in-breath warm? Or is the in-breath cool? So likewise, now you are trying to clearly know it. So when in-breath happens, you clearly know this is the in-breath. When out-breath happens, you clearly know this is the out-breath. So likewise, now you are trying to refine your mindfulness. You are refining your skill. You are refining your mindfulness. You can clearly know it. And while you are doing it, so don't worry about what's going to happen right now at this moment to the whole world. Come back to yourself. Leave aside all these various, say, news, TV news, CNN, whatever it is, and come back to yourself. So you have to leave aside the whole world and come back to yourself. Otherwise, you can't do it. So don't think about various other things, various other external affairs. Rather, come back to yourself and be happy with yourself. Be content with yourself. Appreciate this whole living experience. And that way, we are able to bloom like a flower, that I am developing something. I am now living. I have a different life now. I have different experience now. Each and every experience I am living. It's a kind of a fresh experience. You have a kind of a novel experience. You are like a newly born baby. Now you are fully aware of what is happening. And now you can even expand it to even to the outside. While you are being awake to yourself, being aware of yourself, so this awareness is expandable. You can be aware of someone else's feelings, someone else's attitude, someone else's pain. You can be empathetic towards another person. You can feel another person's feelings. So likewise, so this simple practice is take us in a long journey. So I therefore encourage you to practice and to at least start today. So don't postpone it. So we have got a good chance to have some seclusion due to all this corona pandemic, and you can probably have some seclusion, not dealing with so much of affairs, and try to find a kind of a solitude to initiate this practice. But later, even while living with others, you can be really mindful. You can be aware of someone else's feelings. So likewise, this is expandable. Don't think that you always have to be in a very secluded, very isolated place. It is not. Probably at the beginning, finding out such a identical place may be useful. But later, slowly you can expand these skills even to the outside. So with that, I like to conclude today's Dhamma sermon, and tomorrow I like to cover the next aspect. So that is the how to further take us to this into the bhavana, to the development, and what Buddha taught as a bhavana. So how this what we have discussed today is going to differ from bhavana. So sometimes people stop at what I have told today. So typical, say, Western mindfulness probably may stop at what we have discussed today. But Buddha has taken us even further. So we can discuss that about how Buddha is explaining Satipatthana Bhavana and the Satipatthana Bhavana Gaminincha Patipada, the practice, the whole route on tomorrow, and leaving some room for that on tomorrow. I'll wind up today's session, and thank you very much for listening.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Swaminasa. It's a very enlightening talk. I have a question actually personally by me. So when you develop, or when you try to develop mindfulness, I mean, as a person who is kind of trying to do mindful practices, so sometimes you feel sometimes upset also, because you see your defilements more and more. You see your anger, you see your mental pains and things like that. So how do you handle that? How do you tackle that situation?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, now if you don't know that you have defilements, then you are fully like a victim of defilements. But knowing that we have defilements is really a kind of an enlightening experience. And knowing that I have anger, knowing that I have lust, knowing that I have jealousy. So without knowing that, you can't cut it off. You can't reduce it. So if you can remember, there's a very beautiful sutta called Sabbasava Sutta. Buddha very clearly, categorically mentioned, Janato bhikkave passato asavanam khayang vadami, no ajanato, no apassato. Only for the person who knows and who are aware of the defilements, of the asavas, of the taints, only to that person I say there's a possibility of freeing from all the defilements, freeing from all the taints. So therefore, don't sort of look down yourself thinking that I have a lot of anger, I am getting angry, I am getting lustful, I have a lot of jealousy. So actually, if you are able to look at it objectively, when there is anger, just look at it anger as anger. When there is jealousy, look at it jealousy as jealousy. It is not, you are not sort of you are not discarding it. You are not trying to find kind of a sage in yourself. Rather, all these are available in ourselves. So more we understand, and then we become really humble. Otherwise we might think that I am already a saint, I am already a sage. But when we really be humble, when we are really honest, we can really understand, oh, I have anger, I have fear, I have jealousy. So there is a lot of lust. So more and more you are aware of it, and more slowly you can avoid being a victim of it. Say, for example, it is actually happening very slowly, and don't expect it to happen overnight. Say, for example, suppose you are easily getting angry. So if you are getting easily angry and you don't know what you are doing and you are not mindful at all, you may blame someone, you may hit someone, and later you regret. At that regretting period only, you know that I unnecessarily got angry. I should not have told that to him. I should not have told that to her. So you regret. So this is where we become unmindful. But when we become mindful, what happens is before we get come into this regretting mode or this regretting stage, we can be aware. So there may be anger, there may be lust, all the defilements are there. Suppose we take the example as anger. And now you know, now the mind is burning, you are angry. While knowing, you may be blaming, you may be hitting. Doesn't matter. That anger is so powerful, you still couldn't stop yourself. But you actually reacted to that anger. But when you are angry, knew that. But further you develop mindfulness. Again and again you develop mindfulness. And now there's another stage you reach, that there's a burning anger, but still you are not going to use harsh words. You are not going to blame. You are not going to hit. You are not going to attack. But anger is there. Burning anger is there. So this is another stage. And then there's another stage. You are not coming to that level. You are not coming to that burning level, but anger is there. Kind of a resentment, kind of a mild anger. At that time, you can be fully aware. There's a kind of mild anger available in mind, kind of a resistance available in the mind, kind of a resentment available in the mind. but it hasn't gone to the previous level, to that burning level. So this is another stage. Then you further develop your mindfulness. And then you're coming to a further refined level where the very early stage of anger you can recognize. There's an angry thought arising. There's a resistance, very early thought arising, kind of an inception level you can know. So this is kind of a gradual practice. So where your mindfulness is improving, as a result, you are able to recognize various defilements at their early stages. More and more your mindfulness is developed, you can immediately be aware of their very early stages. At that time, the developed mindfulness itself is enough to take it away, take this defilement away, simply to look it at, simply to discard it, simply to remove it, because that mindfulness is so powerful, and that developed mindfulness is fairly capable enough to remove that defilement. When the anger is arising, you know it, and you are not fertilizing it, you are not promoting it, you are not encouraging it, you are not becoming a victim of it. As a result, it will simply go away. So likewise, this is a kind of a gradual practice, and definitely knowing that currently, there are defilements available in the mind is a kind of a necessity in this practice. And therefore, don't look down yourself recognizing of defilements, but rather without knowing, without recognizing defilements, there is no way of removing them.
Thank you, Swaminathan.
Swamin Wahansa, මේ විජේවතු කළ it was a very illuminating Dhamma sermon, and now I understand why Anand said that you explain things very simply. You introduced to Satipatthana, which we dread to go into sometimes a very simple way. Thank you very much. So I have a question here which came from a listener. You mentioned to embrace all feelings and sensations. What about severe painful feelings?
Yeah, actually, severe painful feelings immediately may not be able to handle. Say, for example, that's why, I mean, even Bhakti Dhammajiva emphasized that this is a kind of, if we are able to approach as a preventative practice, then we are really ready to handle kind of a severe pain. But we can't immediately start with the severe pain. See, that's why, I mean, suppose you are doing kind of a walking meditation, sitting meditation, all these are sort of dealing with some minor pains. Say your body has a itching, kind of a little pain. So these, you are handling, you are developing your mindfulness with these some manageable pains at the beginning. And you may even have pleasurable feelings. So likewise, you develop mindfulness, and more you develop mindfulness, you are developing kind of a skill to look at it objectively. Now you are not recognizing with it. You are not adding kind of a mental part to it. You are not attributing it to someone else. So, and as a result, you simply have some physical pain, and that's it. You are not adding to it. You are not sort of developing it and sort of adding another mental pain onto it. You can simply be away from the pain and look at it objectively. Kind of a distance is created between the pain and this observer. So your observing mind and the pain have now disengaged. Now there's a kind of a distance. So this distance observation is something that you are sort of finding out with the practice. It may not be immediately available. As we develop mindfulness, we are able to find out this distance observation. You are like an outsider. You are like outsider watching someone else's pain. Now, if you are able to develop that, then you can apply it to even to a severe pain. So there's a kind of a severe pain available going through, and you can watch it objectively. You can learn from it. You can really observe it. So therefore, that is possible, but not immediately. And you can start with some minor pains and maybe neutral feelings and the pleasurable feelings and even the minor feelings, minor painful feelings. And later you can even tackle a severe pain as well. Yeah, back to you.
Thank you, Swaminathan. I think this is the last question that we can take today. Then after that, you will be setting up for a own practice. So you'll be initiating us to do a 30 minutes meditation. So before that, the last question is that Anapanasati meditation is Anapanasati meditation different to the other mindful practices? It always says to sit straight and keep the back straight, etc. Any reason for that? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, actually, in a way, this is a kind of a theoretical question where if you consider the breathing meditation, so the breathing has to happen in a very smooth manner. So if you keep your head down and the body in a bent manner, then this breathing is not properly facilitated. So the breathing has to be well facilitated. And if you sit straight, so the breathing happens very comfortably, and again is well facilitated. All this respiratory duct is properly open, and therefore the breathing happens smoothly, naturally. So that's why, I mean, we have to keep our say head straight, neck straight, and the body straight when we are practicing Anapanasati. But that doesn't mean that you have to maintain it like a statue, like a robot. I mean, when we start our practice, we may be starting like that, but later we have to give some flexibility for the body to adjust. So don't immediately rush to straighten it up. Suppose in the middle of your practice, so assume that your body is little bent and little it has adjusted, but the meditation is happening smoothly. So at that time, you don't need to immediately erect yourself, immediately straighten up. Rather, you can simply be aware, I mean, is it happening properly? Is the mindfulness properly improving? Am I fully awake? I'm not drowsy. I'm not nodding. I'm not daydreaming, but the mindfulness is developing. So if it is happening, then a little bit of adjustment is no problem. But if it is really bent, if you feel that your neck has already really bent, and if it is really necessary to adjust, then you can slowly adjust yourself. So therefore, starting with the straight posture may be useful for breathing meditation, but even there you have to give some provision to adjust by itself, because the body knows what is the best posture. We may have a very sort of ideal posture, straight posture, but slowly, once we allow the body to adjust by itself, then it will come to a more comfortable, convenient kind of a posture, and we should allow it. And once you know the technique, and once you have developed to some extent, and then having a straight body may not be a must.
Thank you so much, Swaminathan. I think our next part is self-meditation, but I would kindly request Venerable Chandaratana Thero to set us up for the meditation. If you can give little guidance at the beginning, then we will be going into meditation. Swaminathan.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to remember that it's 11 o'clock night in Sri Lanka now.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I'll okay. So I'll little guide you in now. Actually, we started with rising and falling in the previous session. So I'll guide you in Anapanasati now, and as another session, and actually probably Ananda Mahatya and Vijay Mahatya may guide you on the walking sessions using various videos. And so I therefore guide you on the sitting session, and you can now again sit in a comfortable posture. And come back to yourself. So don't think about what I have said. You can simply have some space in your mind and don't take it too serious. You have nothing big to do, nothing much to do. It's an extremely simple practice. Coming back to ourselves. Understand, this is a kind of a valuable time to enjoy ourselves, to be with ourselves, to dedicate some time for ourselves. And you can gently close your eyes. Relax yourself. You can have a long breath, in breath, and release it very gently. Again, you can have a long in breath and release it gently. Fully relax to the present moment. There is no rush, no hurry. Enjoy yourself. You are living, you are breathing, you can feel, you can be aware. Your eyes are gently closed, lips are gently touching, the tongue kept in the middle. You are not making any effort using your tongue. Jaws are not tightly coupled. The whole head feeling very relaxed, very lighter. Not encouraging any thoughts. Maybe a lot of important plans, but simply neglect them, simply postpone them. Come back to this simple present moment. Keep your attention at the nostril. Allow the body to breathe naturally. Don't force yourself. When breathing in happens, be aware of it. When breathing out happens, be aware of it. If you like, you can note it. In, out. In, out. Don't follow the breath. Don't follow in breath and go inside. Don't follow out breath and go outside. Stay closer to the nostril. If any distraction happens, don't blame yourself. This is natural. And once you are aware, come back to the nostril. Come back to breathing. Be aware of each and every in-breath and out-breath. Have a little curiosity. Give a little challenge to the mind. You are not going to miss any breath. You are now trying to be mindful about every breath, not missing any breath. If your mind distracts, during that time certain breaths may be missed. Give a little challenge to the mind that you are not going to miss any breath. As your mindfulness refines, develop, you may be able to know very subtle details, very refined information. The difference between in-breath and out-breath. Have a little curiosity, kind of an investigation, examining the whole process.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now, hopefully, you had a very good 30 minutes meditation session. Now we are going to watch a small video, about 6-7 minutes, about walking meditation. Walking meditation is an integral part of Buddhist mindfulness practice. We have other meditation types in different religions also, somewhat, but walking meditation is only seen in Buddhist practices. And also, this is something we can practice every time, like when you're on your evening walk, or when you're on your treadmill session, or inside the house, outside the house. This is very, very helpful tool in establishing mindfulness. And also, teachers say that if you want to get your mind settled quickly on a sitting session, just do a walking meditation at least 10-15 minutes before that session. So you just walk mindfully and come back and sit on a paryanka or sitting session, then it will really help you to settle your mind quickly. So basically, we are into our last part of the day's program. So we are watching this video, Satipasali video. And after that, Vijay will come and give the concluding remarks. And after that, we are doing walking meditation as you wish, at least 30-40 minutes. Then we will be seeing you tomorrow again at 7 o'clock California time, 7:30 evening Sri Lanka time. So now we are playing the video. Just give us a minute until we get that video on. Thank you.
Mindful walking. You may already know we can practice to be mindful in any posture, such as sitting down, walking, lying down, or you can be mindful doing any day-to-day activity. But today, let's see how we practice mindful walking. First, we need to find a place to do our mindful walking. You could practice mindful walking indoor or outdoor when the weather permits. Ideally, on a sand or a gravel walking path. You can also do it on a lawn. But today, we'll be using a sand walking path. Make sure you have enough space to walk about 20 to 30 steps up and down comfortably. Walking barefoot is preferred whenever that is practical. To begin with, it's recommended that you do a few rounds of walking back and forth where you choose to do your mindful walking. Walk in a relaxed and natural pace. This will help you to warm up and be ready. Before you begin your session, at the starting point of your walking path, stand still. Keep your arms in a comfortable position by your side, at the back, or in the front. But don't swing the arms to and fro. Be aware that you are about to start mindful walking. From now on, you have no dealings with the outside world. Your only friend is mindfulness. Now for a minute or two, be mindful of your posture. Be aware that you're not sitting down or lying down, but standing up. Note how your feet touch the ground. Feel how your body weight evenly distributes on each of your feet. Keep your eyes open and downcast. Look in the direction of the ground at about 2 meters in front of you, but not anything in particular. Now start walking. Keep a relaxed and natural pace. Let your body knowledge determine the right pace for you. Be mindful that you're walking. Your attention is focused on your lower part of the body. Be attentive to the movement of your feet, the shift from left to right. Note the sensations. What do you feel? Focus on different parts of your sole, heel, arch and toes. Do you feel a difference in hardness, softness, or in temperature in different parts of your sole? When you reach the end of the path, bring both feet together and stand still for a moment. Slowly turn around, being aware that you are turning. It is important that we note the actions and sensations as they occur, not before or after. At any point of this process, if you see or hear something, or you realize that you are not mindful on your walking, that's perfectly fine. Bring your attention back to the process of walking. Note the sensations as your foot touches the ground. Every time you turn, note that you are turning. If thoughts arise, note those, but do not get involved. Don't try to suppress your thoughts. Continue with mindful walking. Relax and enjoy the act of walking. Now it's time to end the walking session. Carry your mindfulness into the sitting session. But remember, slowly, mindfully, and silently. Practice mindful walking at home. Carry your mindfulness into a sitting session. Let others join as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vijay Vatugala, and I think we are near the end of our first day, and I want to thank all the people who participated, and also the people who worked behind running the slides and Zoom, Colonel Lucky Rajapaksa, and my fellow moderator, Ananda Mahinkanta, and first, mainly our two teachers, Venerable Dhammajiva and Chandraratna. And so one of you can see on the slide here, we reminded you that please send all the questions on chat and also send it to everyone. Don't send it to privately, because the way we are doing is that one person is collecting all the questions and providing it to us. So they cannot see private ones. And so we'll keep the Zoom on for half an hour after we complete, so that you can add more questions. And tomorrow morning, the first thing is that we are going to do all the question and answers. So that's very important. And also, end of tomorrow, we are also planning to share any ideas or things what you do. The second part here, please share your thoughts as how mindfulness has been helping or will help you in your daily life on the chat also, or that's in the last end of the tomorrow. We are going to share that information. And so I will go through the program now. You can see 7 o'clock, we are going to start with Q&A. So we don't have a grace period like at the beginning, you had a video at the beginning. So we are going to write at 7 a.m. Sri Lanka time, 7 a.m. California time, 7:30 Sri Lankan time. We are going to start Q&A with Venerable Dhammajiva Thero. And so log in early and send all your questions. And after, if you have more questions after we close today afternoon, you can send it to the General Secretary email from where you got your registration confirmation. But we will only look at that near the end of the day or early morning tomorrow. After that, we are not going to look at that email when the session is going on. So when the Zoom starts, we are not going to look at any emails. So remember, put all the things on the chat, and even if you have done it in the email, if you can put it there in the chat, that is useful. And so based on the questions what you ask, most probably Dhammajiva Hamdru will give a sermon based on that. And after that also we have more question and answers. Then we have the break like last time today, and then we'll go into Chandraratna Hamdru's session, and we'll have a guided meditation and a continue Dhamma session and Q&A. And then we'll have the meditation. Sometimes, Chandraratna Hamdru said that he may change from breathing to maybe walking and some other types of meditation also there. So, they will do what's best for us. After the Sri Lanka time becomes like 11 p.m., so we will take over the moderation, and we are going into introduction to instructions on mindfulness in daily activities. So we'll have some videos, and we will talk about how they can be used in your life. And then after that, the things what I told you earlier, how you use your tricks and trade on how you use your mindfulness. Some will share some of those things. And at the end, we'll have vote of thanks from President of the Nalanda College All Boys Association, Upul Gunawardena. So that's the end of the program for day one. And I would like you to do a continue practice walking meditation today. That way you can ask questions about your questions, whether you are doing it right or what you felt. And normally Dhammajiva Hamdru normally likes to answer questions from your experience, not theoretical questions. That's all I have for you now. Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed today.